We're back again for the Defined Engagement Bookcast. I'm Doug Fine. Thanks for joining us today. Today, again, we're going to be talking to Devin Halliday. He wrote The Belonging Factor, How Great Brands and Great Leaders Inspire Loyalty, Build Community, and Grow Profits. The chapter we'll be discussing today with Devin is Why the Future Can't Wait, Chapter 4. Devin Halliday, we are so pleased that you came back to talk about the 5th chapter in your book, Belonging Factor. Thanks for being here. Hello, everybody. I hope you're doing well today. My name is Doug Fine, and I live in Augusta, Georgia, and I have a small consultancy, Defined Performance Solutions. We work on employee engagement, leader development, staff development, team development, just good old-fashioned human connection at work with leaders and their people to make better things happen for everybody. And I'm here today with Devin Halliday, the author of Belonging Factor, How Great Brands and Great Leaders Inspire Loyalty, Build Community, and Grow Profits. So Devin, thank you for joining me today.
Hey, Doug. Great to be here.
Good to have you. Hey, we're going to talk about Chapter 4 of this book, and Chapter 4 is called Why the Future Can't Wait. Provocative, and really and truly, my takeaway was the future's here. Don't pretend, don't think anything but, things are zooming. Things are going very fast, and
what a great adjective for this time that we're in right now as this is being recorded, to say zooming.
Right.
because as we're recording this today on Zoom, as a result of both our geographical distance, which we could easily make up with a plane flight, but also the fact that nobody wants to get near anybody else because of this pandemic, Zoom is really it. And it aligns so well with the premise of this chapter.
Yeah, cool. So this chapter, I was fascinated because you have a paragraph that I would, if you indulge me and let me read it, but after that paragraph, you end up going, okay, go back and look at this paragraph. So this is a very important paragraph in the book, because you're really describing, I think, my takeaway is you're describing a very ideal kind of environment to work in, probably something to shoot for. If you're a leader or if you're a team member that wants to make a difference and wants to get wants to be on a team that can really accomplish some great things together. So if you don't mind, I'm going to read this paragraph, and then you're welcome to talk about it and why'd you include it. Okay. So here you go. The workplace of the future, and then parent, i.e. the present, is an inherently healthy environment that reinforces trust, compassion, respect, and understanding. It fosters the confidence that a person can be authentic and vulnerable at work. It creates energy, camaraderie, community, and engagement between colleagues. The future workplace elicits a feeling of psychological safety, which engenders a willingness to seek out and understand other opinions and perspectives. It spawns collaborators sharing aligned values that help their organizations compete. It is a workplace that empowers people and drives profits. So there's nirvana there. I just read about nirvana in a business setting or an organizational setting. It all sounded great, and that's the one thing I really like about this book, because you put into words things that really resonate with me as doing the kind of work I do. So you go right after that paragraph of this ideal setting or environment that is going to bring out the best and be a kick-ass place to work, a place where people are excited to be there for so many different reasons. They come charged up and are making things happen. But you're quick to say, like, go back and read this and underline what jumps out at you there, and then ask yourself, do you experience this at your job? Is this happening anywhere? So why'd you use that technique? Like you set up this, you set up this very ideal place, environment, and then you kind of like, wham, I'm going to knock this down because good luck finding it, you know? So that's the way I kind of took it. So tell me about where you were coming from with this in this chapter.
Yeah, so I wasn't trying to build a house of cards there, only to pull the bottom card out.
Right.
But
I misinterpreted maybe.
No, but certainly. So one of the things that I would say is really common amongst many leaders in organizations is to lay out this utopian or ideal vision for their employees, which will get people fired up. Quarterly meetings, annual meetings, sales rallies, you name it, right? Gets people fired up. We lay out this whole future for what we're going to do. And then, whether intentionally or in most cases completely unintentionally, and just a byproduct of the business, they don't deliver.
Mm-hmm.
And so what does that do to a base of employees? What does that do to the energy and motivation and sense of purpose or value alignment? It eventually, if an employee sticks around long enough, they just either tune it out or kind of call bullshit, right? Whenever it happens. And so the purpose of this is really to get the reader to go back and say, you know what? All right, cool. I just got this great thing laid out for me, but I need to challenge the realities of this, and I need to challenge them in my current environment. And I need to challenge where they, there's massive gaps and where there's no gaps. I need to start underlining and circling things to start to think about what does it really take to achieve that? Not just lay out the what, lay out the how.
Yeah.
With this book really centered in kind of why and how to achieve the what, and the what being building community, inspiring loyalty, and growing profits. That's the what. But we don't talk about that really at all in the book. We just talk about why and how, because that's the meat. That's how you get there. And so when you think about, and by the way, throughout the book, I think I encourage people many times to be able to just, hey, go back, read that, underline it, circle it, dog ear it, write in the margins, use this thing as a tool. That's what it's designed to do, is to challenge thinking and to provide steps to get to your outcome, not a prescribed outcome that I want for you.
Right.
But your outcome. And so, in that paragraph, really especially, it lays out a vision for what we should be doing now, not what we should be aspiring to do 20 years from now. And that's why also it requires that immediate knock it down and go back and really do the work now. So think about what's changed. So we're recording this in August of 2020. What's changed in the last 6 months in the US in work, globally, but really hardcore in the US in work? We don't interact in many workplaces aren't interacting. I mean, Google just announced July 2021 is when employees are coming back into offices. So that's not interacting in person. So that's not, some of the normal camaraderie and ways that we build some of our engagement and some of our sense of kind of belonging or camaraderie between each other in the workplace. And for leaders who rely on charisma and their dynamics of their personality, this environment is very different to create, and for companies in general, is very different. And there are some just class act examples of those who have gotten it perfectly right through this transition, through empowering and engendering that sense of belonging. And there are those who are still trying to find their path. But the point, I guess, of what I'm getting at is when we have this environment where people are feeling that connection to each other and that sense of purpose and alignment of values and behaviors to do their part and to help others with their part, and they don't see diversity as a divisive maneuver, but they see diversity as a way to learn from and grow with each other. You don't have to be face-to-face to do this. You don't have to have cliques. When I say cliques, talking about the little groups or like high school or whatever, right? But you instead have the ability to have this kind of flourish and thrive in an environment where you're not working in teams on top of each other, but you're remote, you're distanced. And that is a workplace that will continue to advance at a rapid pace. In fact, many companies have wanted to do many of the things that they're doing now with remote learning, remote teaching, remote work, self-service options in retail, out of the stores for any non-essential transactions, and it's all done online. Companies have been wanting to do that for a long time, but there have been so many other pressures to accomplishing it. Pandemic hits, and they flip the switch because they've been ready for it. They just haven't been able to do it yet. And when a company can do that at that time in a way that the employees feel like they don't lose anything, and the customers feel like they don't lose anything, and they feel like this organization is looking out for what it is that they need for their safety, physically and psychological, wow, you win a whole lot of that emotional capital and loyalty.
Yes, there you go. Yeah, we talked a little bit about loyalty last time. So I think that what you're saying, I get it, and I hope that people also get it, and they're going to strive to in whatever environment, you know, are you an online environment or somewhere in between? I hope that people see how this is going to work. But what I fear right now is that there's so many displaced people right now, and what was being built, and people like you going into organizations in your business, helping businesses, you know, in person kind of thing. So a lot's being lost right now, not just jobs. There's probably a lot more fear in the workplace than there was 6 months ago. Fear just paralyzes people to, they start being way more cautious. But even the fact of, do you, Devin, if you're having to go out to a store or something, I don't see people smiling anymore. You can't see people smiling. It's hard to make those connections, With
a mask on, it's hard to tell if somebody is smiling, because you can see a smile in people's eyes. That a genuine smile you can see in people's eyes. But with a mask on, you can't tell if it's a smile, or if it's a squint, or if it's a glare.
Yeah.
And you can't. It's really difficult. So what was your question?
Well,
Sorry.
I'm not sure it was a question, but I'm just saying that it's making it more difficult. This pandemic is making actual connection with people. It's more challenging,
Yeah, I agree. And you add on top of that some of the other stuff that's going on to where, there's a big push on diversity. There's a big push on racial,
yes,
on gender, but on racial diversity. And for many people, they experience diversity as some way, as something divisive. They see diversity as something that's taking away from their fill in the blank, their heritage, their position, their opportunity. But life isn't a pie. It's not like there's a quantified fixed amount of whatever can be achieved in any person's life or in all of our lives collectively. And then so if somebody else is getting, some more, that means you're getting less.
Right.
No, that's not how life works. And so as we start to look at, and I realize I'm talking about diversity while you're talking about something a little different, but they come together when we start talking about that sense of inclusive environments, places where people have voices, places where people can share. And the companies that are getting this timing right with their employees and with their customers are the ones who are engaging in dialogue, engaging in back and forth. They're not putting down these harsh, crazy expectations on productivity and performance.
Mm-hmm.
They're being real, and they're listening as well. And so, there's three things I talk about in this chapter to kind of prime, if you will, the pump for chapter 5, which is very meaty, and it really gets into the breakdown of what the matrix, if you will, of what the belonging factor is.
Right.
So priming the pump is really about three things, and this is for leaders, this is for frontline people, this is for any human in life, to really think about how can you challenge and think through being ready to hit change, being ready to lead change, being ready to adapt to change. First, be curious. Be absolutely curious. Learn, challenge your own beliefs, challenge things that you were taught, like I mentioned before.
Yep.
In the other chapter. But also express gratitude, be grateful.
Yeah, I love that.
And find places and ways to always express some sort of gratitude. even if it's the smallest, littlest thing, that you're grateful to yourself for not doing that thing that you've been struggling at for a long time, and then you finally got it, and you went, okay, I didn't freak out about that.
You know what I liked about
awesome.
that? You know what I liked about that? Yeah, you are awesome. And yeah, you know what I like about that idea of gratitude? In the book, you say, if you're a leader, why don't you spend a little time at a team meeting, just go around your team and say, what are you grateful for today? You know, tell me, personal or professional, what are you grateful for? But even better, I think, you challenge your reader, if they even aren't a leader, you challenge your reader to say, why don't you speak up at a meeting and talk about what you're grateful for, really with a teammate? You know, you're actually calling out a teammate for something that you're grateful for about them. And that was awesome. I love that.
I'm going to share a very quick story that was incredibly informative. I didn't use it in the book, and maybe that was a mistake because it's a great story. Mm-hmm. So I was running a team that I'd been leading this team for about 2 years at this point, and they were still the same people the entire 2 years. So we were having a really, really, really rough quarter on top of a rough quarter. So back to back. Now, and that was only with respect to our year-over-year growth, same location. But that just happened to be the #1 biggest measurement that was getting traction and attention at very high levels. And we absolutely smashed the prior year in those 2 quarters. I mean, we were #1 in the organization, or at least in our region, during those quarters the prior year. So we knew we were going to be up against it, right? We knew it was going to be tough if year-over-year was going to be a measurement we needed. And so I was going through at a meeting with my folks about kind of what the plans were, what it looked like, what the realities on the ground are, and how we can make incremental steps on the tough ones and make really big monumental steps on some of the low-hanging fruit. And it was a very dry, very process and, outcome oriented, nothing to do with people. Not really, not in this particular meeting. And one of the folks on my team, she says, "Hey boss," and I hated that term, and she knew that. They all knew that, but it got my attention. Yeah. And she said, "Hey boss, I'd like to pause right now. I want to call out Sean for something that Sean's been doing that has been really, really helpful for me." And she went on to explain this conversation that her and Sean had about 2 months before, how it really helped her achieve some of the things, and then how Sean's been following up with her to help her tweak it throughout time. And it changed the whole dynamic of this meeting, completely changed the next probably 90 minutes we spent in that meeting, because I think we were there about 3 hours. And in that last 90 minutes, we put such a different spin, all people-oriented, all action-oriented and behavior-oriented with people, not with, we weren't looking at the accounts and going, what accounts can we squeeze more out of? There was none of that. It was just in our people. It was just in our processes and our systems. And
that was those things that you talked about in the last 90 minutes, that was gonna perhaps put you where you wanted to be. Because
perhaps we were last in our year-over-year measure at this point on year-over-year, quarter-over-quarter, out of 62 teams in that area. We finished 19th in that quarter, and so for the whole year of our year-over-year, we would have finished like 54th or 55th for the year. We finished 30th, and I'll tell you, I've never been a person who like midway is good enough, but what it took for us to be able to achieve that was not about having all the best plans about the accounts we were going to hit, how we were going to target it, and this and that, and what our marketing piece was going to be to this, and whether or not we needed discounts or credits to buy that piece of business. It was all about what we were doing with our people. And that moment changed so much because we started, Trisha was her name, and she started this mentality in there that we've had generally as a team, but we weren't going there under the weight of all this pressure.
Sure.
And so that's a real thing that I talk about in the book, is under the weight of all this pressure, there are places that are going to crack. And that's why if you have a system that you can go, all right, things aren't going the way I want. I can't change the input that's coming in, but I can change my response. Here's my system. Which gear is broken in my system right now? I'm back on systems and processes and not on people. Okay, let's re-engage that gear, fix that gear, and then poof, continue moving on down the line. And so that's where, when we get into chapter 5, and we can start to really highlight and talk through what those elements look like. And then as folks are reading it, and they get the ability to just write all their notes on the margins and create their own plan out of it. It's so exciting. So I'm looking forward to talking about that. But really at this point, what I tell you is, we can't wait for things to happen. We have to make them happen, and we know what it looks like. We know what the right way looks like. We know what the right thing looks like. And it's centered in people. It's centered in sound principles and processes as a leader. And when that is where your energy and effort is focused, no matter if you're leading people or not, you're going to start to see really big changes in outcomes. It might be from a small tweak, but it yields a big result.
That's cool. Hey, Devin.
Hey, I got mine too.
Oh, cool, man. I got that book too. So this is Devin's book, Devin Halliday, Belonging Factor. How great brands and great leaders inspire loyalty, build community, and build profits. Improve profits, grow profits. Oh, I haven't got it down.
We'll get there by chapter 11.
Yes. Okay. So get this book, people. It's rich. It's awesome. It's short. Chapters are short, and you're going to take a lot away, and you're going to help this author meet his goals. And Devin, we're going to be together again talking about chapter 5, and I look forward to that. And thank you again for your time today.
Thanks, Doug.
You bet. Bye. So that's a wrap on another episode of the Define Engagement Bookcast with Doug Fine. Coming soon, we're going to have chapter 5 of Belonging Factor, The Belonging Factor Explained. You can find more of these bookcasts at this site, anchor.fm/Doug-Fine. And we look forward to having you again next week. Thanks so much for giving of your time, and I hope it was beneficial to you. That's why we do it. Thanks again. See you next time.